Focus until the end to see all my raw images of me catching this in flight. Okay everybody, I'm here at RSPB Elmeret, and it's a long time since I've been here. Obviously I always do insects in flight now, and I'm going to go back to do a bit of birding over this winter. I have just received my 200mm Panasonic Leica, if you can see it there, and it's going to be on the OM1 too. My first impressions of it so far are a little bit old school looking, very shiny, slippery. It's not, it doesn't feel great to hold on to because it's too slippery, but obviously I've got my strap. But if I can walk around with a camera like that and not have any problems. But because it's like this, I feel a little bit, I don't know, like I'm gonna drop it. So anyway, this is a 200mm f2.8. I went out with it yesterday just really quickly just to see what it was like. Forgot that I have a limiter set on my camera and I thought there was a problem with it. So I thought it's 40. It's not 40. It's just me being stupid. So I've taken that limiter off now. I'm going to try and show you what I can see through the lens. Sorry, just ran into a friend there. Yeah. But I've just found out that I can use the OM teleconverter with the Panasonic Leica. So that's worked out nice, saved me about $300-400, well, probably more than that actually. I've worked out brand new, they're about £500. So anyway, I'm gonna go round. I'm gonna talk to Chris Kenyon, give him a quick plug. Great photographer here. So just speaking to my friend Chris, who's a Nikon guy normally, and we've both now got OM system as well as Nikon. Showing how well the OM system's doing, to be honest, taking a lot of the full frame cameras and lenses off the other companies now. Something I've just realised, the 2.8 really does come into its own when you're in the bushes, in dark environments. Well, this is not dark environments because you can see the sun around me, but in the shadows here, I've just looked through and the ISO is really low. I just had it on 1600 and I was on ISO 1000. And if you was using a 5.6 lens, that'd just be way up there. So from that point of view, definitely very good. Gonna try and find kingfisher that's here. I doubt it's gonna be here, the juvenile kingfisher. But obviously I'm gonna shoot birds today. So there's probably not many birds around because the ones that were here are going back, and then the ones that do come for winter are not quite here yet. But I'll try my best, but to be quite honest, we're here to test the lens. Here to have fun. That's what photography is all about anyway. If you want to reduce the size and weight of this, you can remove this lens foot and this very large hood. It's rather small without it, to be quite honest. But let's put that back on. What I want to do here is check out the focus speed without the extender on. Be nice to see how fast we can go from one subject to another. Without the extender on, this is quite fast, to be honest. All I'm just doing is going from side to side, choosing that branch and then choosing the foliage, whatever I can pick out. And we can definitely use the OM adapter on here, the OM teleconverter. Just click that into place. Didn't even notice my buddy Jan sitting in here. I didn't even realise that was you. What are you doing? Once I had the 1.4 on, I definitely noticed the slowdown in focus speed, and also what I hadn't realised was the extra amount of shake I'd get, as you can only use the body or the lens stabilization at once. To give you an idea of the difference, this is the 90mm macro with a 1.4 extender just on my laptop at very close distance. So this shows how much extra stabilization you get from both lens and body combo. To help with the slower speed, you can also engage the memory recall button. This helps a lot, especially when you've got the extender on, as the lens still struggles from time to time going from one target to another. So far, not shot a single subject. That's because there's been nothing to shoot, to be quite honest. But the lens has been pretty good. Instantaneous focus, apart from when I put the 1.4 teleconverter on there. And although I've said it does work, it does. There was a problem on one occasion where it just wouldn't focus, but now it's been okay. So I don't know if I just didn't click it in properly, but it just seems all right now. Moving to dragonflies, frustration set in pretty quickly. I've taken the 1.4 telly off because I'm finding that it struggles a little bit for focus acquisition on these dragonflies. Now we're just on the 200 by itself, so you can focus. I got a tip just now about using aeroplanes for dragonflies in flight, but I don't know if once it's up in the air it recognises it an aeroplane. This is on birds now, and it seems to have a lot better time. I'm at 3200 f6.3 ISO 1000. I'm going to drop that ISO down, don't need to be anywhere near up there, and let's even drop the aperture down to f4. So the 200 f2.8 seems to struggle a little bit with the dragonflies in flight. Could just be the camera, to be honest. It was a lot harder when the teleconverter was on. Did get a couple of shots, got a whole sequence, to be honest, but when it got really close it was hard to actually get them. But then that does happen with all systems, to be honest. The closer they get is the harder it is. I've got some ivy up here. We've got lots of, ow, it's got stung just now. Got lots of insects up here in the ivy, probably quite a few ivy bees. So I'm gonna see how it does up on here with the teleconverter attached. Same as usual, you put a teleconverter on, it does make it a little bit harder, but it does fill the frame a lot more with the teleconverter. So let's see. Well, this experience has been a bit of an eye-opener. I borrowed somebody else's 1-to-400mm lens and managed to get a much closer image. It was only a sitting subject. It wasn't how I'd normally shoot, but the magnification was much, much larger on the 1-to-400 Mark 1. He was worried about the softness, Steve Knox, on the lens, but I thought it was all right. I don't know now about this 200 f2.8 because the minimum focus distance is 1.44 meters for maximum magnification. It seemed to struggle a lot with close subjects. Far subjects was fine, but I'm all about the close subjects. So I think I might be having a rethink on this whole situation. Possibly the 300 f4 or possibly the 100 to 400 Mark 2. So wranglings as per usual. Anyway, let's bye-bye from Elmeret. Quick skip screen recording with this Leica DG Elmeret 200mm f2.8, and I can see here, you see my shutter speed is 1/4000 because we're shooting this at 2.8. It's at 200mm, obviously. Through this video, I'm not going to be able to tell if it's at 200mm or at 280 using the 1.4 teleconverter, because although the teleconverter works and it focuses and everything like that, it doesn't register that it's got a teleconverter on it. So anyway, this is the cat that was just in the cemetery. You can see it's very sharp even at 2.8. I underexpose a lot just so that everybody knows. I don't want everyone to think, oh, it's all wrong, and you know, not all of these are taken with that. That's not sharp. That's not 100% sharp. It's sharp on the body here, but not on the eye. Even when something's going away, you can still catch it. To show, even so that's quite small in the frame. This is what I didn't like. I still thought it would be bigger in the frame. It's still nice and sharp once you zoom in. This red dragonfly here, I can stop on most of these and they are sharp. Again, I underexpose. Don't worry about that. That's because when I edit it, I don't want all highlights going everywhere. So I purposely underexpose. When it's large enough in the frame, I think this was with the 1.4 teleconverter, to be quite honest. Even though, like I said, it doesn't really show it here. It just shows that it's at 200 millimeters, 1/2000, shutter speed, f8, ISO 1000. I shoot fully manual, so you won't see my ISO changing once I've started a sequence of shots. So almost every single one of these you'll find just, you know, great sharpness. I wish it was a bit bigger in the frame. This will definitely be a minus point for this lens. The maximum reproduction ratio is not as good as I was expecting, to be quite honest. It's okay. It's a sharp lens, because like I said, this is with the teleconverter. It doesn't show it, but this is with the teleconverter on. This is one sequence of shots, by the way. I did delete some of them out of it because it was just moving slightly out of focus. But I mean, this is a lot of shots in one sequence. I'm just literally flicking through and look, it only ends there. So then we've got a smaller in the frame migrant hawker. So it's a bigger subject, but it's not as sharp because it's smaller in the frame. But again, that was one sequence of shots. This is not as sharp, definitely not as sharp, because when you crop in, and because it's smaller in the frame, you're actually losing a lot more detail. But it's still, I mean, for most people that would be good enough. For me, not quite so much. I'd much prefer to be a bit closer. One thing I did find is trying to focus on these subjects, it wouldn't pick it up in flight. I had to manually focus first all the time, and I couldn't use my other tricks that I normally do because they were at different distances, like pointing down towards the the boardwalk to get a distance, because it was always at a different distance. So even if you use the button on the side of it for recalling the memory, you'd be at the wrong distance. So I had to get used to manually refocusing to actually get one of these in focus. But again, a lot of shots in focus. And you can see that even at f8, the depth of field is quite good, because that bag is not too far behind. I didn't really get a sharp shot of these ivy bees. But when you get close enough, you can see the detail starting to come there. That wasn't an ivy bee, that was a wasp, obviously. And this wasn't a moving wasp, but I didn't change it, my shutter speed or my ISO or anything like that. But you can see it can pick up some good details, because it was moving because it was getting the nectar, but it wasn't like in flight or anything. Couldn't really get a sharp one of this as it was going away, but you see, you know, we still get some detail. So what I want to show you here, this is the 200 at minimum focus distance, or close to. I'm not going to say it's bang on minimum focus distance. Actually, that's probably slightly bigger because it's the same lens. Detail's good, but it's not brilliant. And then here, so you can tell, look, this is the 200, and this is the 1/400. I was talking to Steve Knox, and we met up, and well, we didn't meet up, we kind of met each other again, and we were just talking about his lens, and he was finding that lens a bit soft on his camera, and we were debating whether the lens is soft on that camera, as in, is it got a problem, the lens, or is it the camera maybe not slightly calibrated to it properly? So I put it on mine, and we got this. So it's slightly bigger in the frame. This is I think this is an extender. This is not. Yeah. Even again, it doesn't show it as an extender. But what I done, I shot exactly the same settings. And you know what I found? As you can see, there's a brightness level difference, which makes me think I'm losing a stop of light by having the 1.4 teleconverter on there, but it's not registering it. Because look, exactly the same. ISO speed, shutter speed, everything's exactly the same, but the light is completely different. But anyway, the backgrounds, I mean, that's nice background blown out, and that is as well, to be honest. It's the same aperture. So, and here, to show you the difference of what a macro lens would take, this is the OM90mm, close as I could get it. Well, there is as close as I could get it, basically. And this is the right eye of it, and this is the left eye of it, to show you the difference in how thin the depth of field is. Look at that. And that's at f8. So a macro lens does a much better job, obviously, it should do, of getting something closer. But it's not miles different, to be quite honest. I was quite impressed with that 100-400, and that was the Mark 1. So I'm going to maybe look at the Mark 2 there, definitely. This was just a peacock butterfly that was just fluttering around. Couldn't get it far enough away from the foliage here to make a real difference in depth of field. As you know, I like to separate my subjects, but it does have a nice wing formation there. You can see, it's just, look, you can't actually see it, it's detached from it until I zoom in. That's the power of cropping, by the way. If you crop, you can make your subject look like it's further away. It's not the sharpest here, I will say. And again, I think, pretty sure this had the 1.4 teleconverter on it. So where I'm thinking this is at 6.3, it's probably at f8. And when I put it to f8, it's probably at whatever. This is an edited of the red dragonfly earlier. Now, I don't know if you think that's good detail or not. That's pretty decent detail, but not the best detail I can get from like a flying shot. But it's fairly decent. It's not the best, but that was with the 1.4 teleconverter attached. Maybe I should have stepped my shutter speed up and added more to the ISO to give myself more speed, because it would then pick up the details a little bit more. But like I showed you, this is just one pick out of all of those pictures I took of it earlier. I like the 200. I don't think it's going to be my lens. It's good. It struggles with insects in flight at 200 millimeters. It's only at 200 millimeters unless you put the converter on, and then it's even obviously harder with the converter on. I need something that's going to be reliable, and this just wasn't quite it. Did really like using it. Not happy with what I got sent. I won't tell you what shop it's from. It'll probably be going back there because it had marks on it that weren't explained in the description of it. It was a good price, but it was a good price for me if there were no marks on the lens. With marks on it, not that great a price. Anyway, let me move on. Like, share, subscribe, turn on notification bells, and I will see you on the next one.